would have loved to start my career making $65,000. I don't think I was even half that amount. I mean, definitely, I know I wasn't even half that amount. So, hi, today thought I'd go over a potential scenario, where my oldest, I should say, is going to be starting her professional career soon. And so I decided, let me throw in a salary of $65,000. What if she could get a job at that amount? And how would I provide the guidance to help her be successful, both in navigating how much money is coming out, how much money she should be spending on stuff, and just give her some of the wisdom that I might have. So before I dive into this, have you been in the same situation? And, watch the video and, what am I missing? What would other ideas that you would give to somebody else that's starting their career, either at this salary or a different salary? So let's dive in. So, and all the links I share, I will put down in the description. So again, I'm putting a $65,000 salary. And there is this smart asset website. I actually kind of like it because you can actually show your potential, son or daughter, or even yourself, how much is taxes coming out, both local, state, and just give them an understanding of how much they might get after all that. And so I did my own local area. I don't know if she's going to be in that area, but again, I picked my local area, starting out at $65,000. And I did want to highlight, if you've watched any of my other videos, doing retirement. So again, I'm a big believer in 10% at least. I would even do more, if you didn't start, but starting at 22, I think you could actually do 10%. And I'm going to bring up the 401k calculator to really kind of highlight that. But doing $250 per pay, it's $2,500 gross. You actually see here the taxes. I really like this tool because it breaks it out, does the FICA taxes, shows that 10%, and actually shows what the take-home pay is of almost 70%. So really like this. Again, the reason I tell everybody start with 10% right from the beginning is then you're not in situations like, other people I know that are doing 15, 20, 25, 30% of their income into their retirement. If you actually start young, you can actually really make a difference. So again, I will go into that. So just to go into a little bit, so I took that $1,750 and let me give you what I thought I'd break it down to. And again, curious what your thoughts are. So here it is, $65,000. It's $2,500 a pay. Hopefully all my calculations do tie out. And I said $250 has to go right into Roth. Again, when you're on that lower income, you're really only paying, in that 10, 12% tax bracket, pay the tax now, and then the money's all tax-free down the road. So that is about $1,736. Again, if you look at that previous screen, after taxes, didn't include any health care there. So in this professional career, I don't think she's going to be paying that much in health care. So I took it to about $1,650 per pay. There's 26 pays in a year. I divided that, I multiplied that out and came out to a $3,575 per month. Again, that would be after healthcare and after the contributions into Roth. Okay. Again, curious if you've done this. And then dove into, okay, now, what would my recommendations be for a young person starting their career? So number one, do that 10%. So again, these numbers in some perspectives are based on the salary. Again, that's about $6,500 a year. And then I would say per pay, they should be saving both for an emergency fund and a car fund. Now, this is where, your numbers or your recommendations may change, but this is what I'm saying, right? So do $250 per pay going into your emergency fund until you hit about $2,500. In this professional career, I look at the risk of losing your job or something like that is probably low, but emergencies still come up. Car could not work. Maybe there's a medical bill. So I think at least getting that $2,500 right off the bat would be really good. I'm not the Dave Ramsey guy, saying $1,000. $1,000 to me isn't enough today. But I would actually say as soon as they hit that $2,500, they probably have a good base at that point. So then I would actually say pivot out of that 250, put $200 towards your future car. Again, my daughter actually is going to come out of college with a 6-year-old car, 50,000 miles, 60,000 miles maybe. So I really think she actually has quite a few more years to be able to save for the next car. So by doing this, saving $200 a pay, $400 a month about, or four something a month, and then $50 still going back into that emergency fund to really build that up to really what a true emergency fund would be. That would be my recommendation to her. This is the one I thought maybe some people might disagree with me. Life insurance, I would tell her, don't even think about life insurance at 22 when you're single. There's no, like, who's the money going to go to? So I wouldn't pay for life insurance, either whole life, especially whole life, or even a term. Long-term disability, I'm a big believer in that. I was told early on, God forbid something happens, the last thing you want to do is move back in with mom and dad and have them take care of you. So yes, get long-term disability. Health insurance, of course, I've already included that in. Renter's insurance, I would definitely go with. You're going to need that if you get an apartment or something like that. So, and here's how I kind of broke it down. And, I actually don't as much use a budget. I believe in that pay yourself first. But I've kind of started to build that into this model already with, $250 going into the Roth, about $250 going into your car and emergency fund. And this is how I would kind of break it out per month, looking at that $35.75. It's about $2,000 are going to go into that needs. So that's your rent, your car maintenance today, your car gas today, your food, any other insurances, again, that renter's insurance or car insurance, of course, is going to go into your needs. Your wants, so that's your subscriptions, right? Your vacations, your clothes, all that stuff. So there is a fair amount in there in your wants. And again, I know my daughter's going to want to take a lot of vacations, so vacations for sure. And then savings. So retire, emergency, your future car, that should be about 20%. Again, I've already included the Roth at about $500 a pay or $250 a pay, $500 or plus a month. Again, that was based on 26 payments. So, for myself, I'm probably doing 20% just for retirement side. But, again, if you start at 22 and you're doing 10%, you could probably get away keeping it a lot less. And again, but saving for other future expenses or future needs. Maybe that's a car, maybe that's for future weddings for your kids or future colleges for your kids. But again, 20% for those future needs. Let me dive into why I think 10% is so critical and how I would do it. So I'm using Dinkytown's tools. Again, I will include this link in the description. But a $65,000 salary with a 10% contribution rate. Now, I did give it a 3% match. From age 22 to age 65, no balance at all today. You could literally come into retirement before Social Security at over $4 million. Okay. Now, again, most people don't even come close to these amounts. But, if you want to retire early, this gives you those options. And that's why I think it's so critical to start early. Now, I didn't dive into too much around the saving stuff. If I did say, I do want to bring up, you got Capital One, a high yield savings account giving 3.3. So that may be where your car and your emergency fund would go to. You got Ally Bank, they're 3.2. Maybe use both of these now, because maybe you want to have your checking account go into one and then transfer out the emergency car fund, put it someplace else so you can't touch it and let it grow. So hopefully this was kind of interesting. Curious, are you providing any guidance to your kids? What would you do if you're just starting out? Love to hear, what do you think about this plan? And what am I missing? because again, I kind of put this together. I was thinking about it, and I said, let me have this conversation, and I'm curious to hear, what did you like about it? What do you disagree with it? And again, if you find this interesting, like and subscribe. I do have a video about life insurance, so you could check that one out between term and whole life. I'm a big term person, just to highlight it. But look at the pros and the cons. There are definitely opportunities for both. And then, of course, saving for retirement is so critical. And I hope you find this interesting. So thank you very much. Bye.